We have Ian Magley with us today, our guest speaker, although Mara Denville is his pen name for today, I guess, as pseudonym. The plan for today is he's going to present a topic called Take the Lid Off. Your agency growth is stuck and how to get unstuck. We met Ian many years ago. He was looking at white labeling with us. I don't think that fair enough. I don't think we actually met back then. I know he was in our world and contacted us, all that. I don't think we actually had the pleasure of meeting, but Ian has actually exited his agencies that he built. He is now running a fractional CMO company, and he is actually integrated into one of our white label partners that is niched. He's guiding them on how they actually grow their agency. And they focus on the legal industry. Of course, I will not name names. Ian agreed to come share with us today what he learned about growing his previous agency and exiting it. And so without further ado, Ian, I'll go ahead and highlight you, spotlight for everybody. The floor is yours.
Sounds good. Like I said, I don't use Teams a ton, so can everybody see my screen and the kind of the first one here? All right, great.
Yep.
So number one, thank you, Mike, for having me, and it's great to meet everybody. Hopefully we'll get a chance to kind of converse as part of this as well. As Mike mentioned, I've built and sold multiple agencies. I've gone through.
So maybe just
1 second, sorry. I think
Yeah.
sound came unmuted. 1 second. Mute.
Yeah, I think keep it. I think
Mute. Sorry about that. There we go.
That's all right. So I've built multiple agencies, and it's funny because as Mike mentioned, I actually reached out to them a couple times over the years as I've utilized white label teams in different capacities over the years, and we'll kind of go through that in a little bit as well. Unfortunately, we never got a chance to work together back then, but having met Mike and Ken and the team and being able to see what they do now, I can tell you without question you're in great hands, and they do a great job, and I do wish that I had taken that step in the past. Nonetheless, that's a lot of what this is about. Kind of learning from my lessons, and it's not easy, and I certainly understand where you come from as a agency owner, and that's where I want to get to. So the name and kind of what I go through, and when I work with agencies, and one of the things I have done and do, as Mike had mentioned as well, is utilize that experience not only in the agency world but in the business world in general. The reason my name on here is Mara Denville is because my first business was a bakery cafe family business. My mom's name is Mara, and it was Mara's Cafe and Bakery. Denville was one of the locations. So that is why that popped up here. But that's really where I kind of cut my teeth in business, and being able to grow that franchise and sell that business about 8 years ago was really what took me to kind of the next steps. And when I revert back to when I kind of go through having to kind of figure things out on my own side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jump right into kind of about myself a little bit. So give you a little bit of background so you know who I am and who is kind of giving this presentation. Pictures came out awful, but nonetheless, just to give you, like I said before, a little bit of my background. So when I got out of college, I thought I was going to go into this great job, this wonderful, paying a lot type job, and I had something lined up. Fell through, so I kind of fell back to working with my parents. So I had this little bakery here in New Jersey, and doing about $340,000 a year, and just kind of getting by. I thought I was going to be there for a month or two, and decided real quick that my major actually I could utilize, which was marketing. Jumped into this family business and was able to start doing, built their first website. This is back in 2001. Built their first website, their first marketing materials, and helped the business grow in about 2.5 years from 340 to about 650. We then opened up a retail location. So if anybody in here has ever been in the food industry, nothing that you do or see in the agency world is anything like the problems and what you see in the food industry. It was a whole different world, and that almost kicked my butt to the point where I almost got out of it. Fortunately, I didn't. Took the retail locations up to 1.1 million in revenue, franchised that concept, and then sold that in 2016. Marketing and business development was always my passion. First opened up an agency that was a little bit more coaching initially, turned to digital marketing, was able to take that agency and grow it to a decent size at that point, and then had an opportunity to get that acquired by a local agency for what felt like a good amount of money at the time. Most importantly, I put my agency in a business in a place where I could get it acquired for a decent multiple. What I learned from that, however, I started up another agency about a year later. That agency I grew to just under 7 figures, very significant size and growth opportunities, and was able to have that one also acquired by a holding company. Got into a place that it was, running really, really well, and able to utilize the systems, the tools, and a lot of what you guys are looking at right now. And again, I didn't use that company, but put together a back end that was, in a very white label type of an approach, focusing on business development, focusing on client support, and creating a pipeline. And that's ultimately what I'm going to go through in a little bit here as well. Most importantly, I think for today, and what I wanted to, and why I really loved that having the chance to speak with Mike and the opportunity to do this, was I've been there. And I know how hard it is. I've worked in this space for quite some time. Like I said, about 8 years, almost 9 years now. There were many times where I almost threw in the towel. It got really, really tough. Felt overwhelmed. Wasn't sure how to continue to grow. Wasn't sure how to make clients happy. All that other stuff that happens in it, right? And I recognize that especially don't know where everybody is within their agencies here, but the ability to take a step back and really kind of understand and put in place what I'll show you in a little bit, and how to get things back in order. It's a wonderful business. It's a wonderful the impact you can have with other companies and small businesses is just phenomenal when you're able to start to get this on the right track. The freedom that you can have as well. But I want to go through some of the things that I learned during that process as well. Now, why this is called taking the lid off, right? So whenever I work with a business in kind of a coaching or consulting type way, the first things we start with is this law of the lid. So if anybody knows the book, forget it off the top of my head, John Maxwell's 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. I don't know if anybody's read that or is familiar with it. The first one is the law of the lid. There's 20 other ones that are phenomenal. If you ever get a chance to read the book, it's a great, great book. You can also, there's a bunch of videos on YouTube, and I have one of the videos actually on the next slide. But the law of the lid basically states that if you have, whatever your lid on your business or is going to determine your ability to grow. Now, the way I show this or kind of help visualize it when working with companies is, and it sounds a little bit funny, but through fleas. Everybody knows little fleas, right? Those little annoying things. If you've had any animals, and you've probably been around them, and it's been annoying as heck. Amazingly, those fleas, however, those little things, they can jump 36 to 48 inches. So they have a vertical of 36 to 48 inches, right? So it's like a human being able to jump on top of a skyscraper, 15-story building, something like that. So these incredible little things can jump all over the place. They have this incredible freedom. Put them in a mason jar without a lid, they can still jump right out, no problem. You put that lid on, and they're going to initially jump and bounce, jump and bounce, jump and bounce. They're going to hit the top enough times to the point where they're going to feel it, they're going to stop, and they're going to jump 6 inches, 7 inches, and they're going to be okay with it. those fleas will potentially start to have baby fleas, right? Those baby fleas still have that ability to jump 36 to 48 inches, but they don't know that. They only jump 6 inches, 7 inches, 6 inches, 7 inches, right? And that's it. Amazingly, if you take the lid off initially, the fleas will not leave that mason jar. They will stay in there. They are now conditioned to jump 6, 7 inches, and that's all they know. Not until you shake it, not until they kind of reteach them to be able to jump to their ability, their capacity, will they start to get back to that 36 to 48 inches. The reason I bring that up, and the reason I always go back to that as a business owner, especially in the agency world, is a lot of times we put the lid on our businesses. We put the lid on our mindset. We put the lid on our vision of what we're trying to do as a business. It's very easy. It's easy to get stuck in the minutia. It's easy to get stuck in referrals as your only source of business. It's easy to get stuck in worrying about way too many other little things, and we can go through those in a little bit. Some examples of those are stagnant leads, no new clients, relying on referrals, stuck in the daily minutia, not having a team or systems, getting frustrated, burnt out, no time for vision or strategic development, clients leaving, you're more firefighter than CEO, and the worst part of it, and it happens too much, is you could make more money working for somebody else. This happens a lot to agency owners, and like I said, there's many times where it felt like it was happening to me. And it was the ability to kind of take a step back, creating a system, creating a process, and changing your mindset, taking that lid off, and being able to create that vision of what you are, what your agency truly is. Think about yourself and what you're doing right now. Are you leading or are you managing? Are you just managing to get through the day? Are you building an asset or are you creating a job? That's a huge difference right there, right? So creating an asset, like I said, I sold twice. I didn't intend, especially the first one, to sell. I created an asset that somebody came to me and looked at, obviously, the numbers and the operations and everything else, and decided that it was worth a significant amount of money. That's an asset. I was not working a job. Are you an operator? Are you operating daily, or are you truly owning a business? And being able to understand those and be able to go through those and recognize how and the difference to delineate between those is really what's important as you look to grow your company. And we'll go through some ways of which to grow. One of the things that I will have here as well, and for everybody on here, I will send out actually this particular the slide deck, but a bunch of tools that I'll be going over as well. I want to make this actionable. What's most important to anything that anybody provides, anything like this, is to take ideas and turn them to action, right? So creating tools, utilizing things that I go through so that you can actually put those into your business. And we'll go through, I might bounce back and forth a little bit. That's when I want to make sure everybody has the opportunity to look at these, utilize them. Might not be everything, exactly perfect for everybody, but there might be a few pieces in here that you can take home with you and put into your business. One of the first things that is in there in one of the documents is a leadership skills quiz. I love this, and I love utilizing it. Is one of the first steps when I work with any business. Now, this skills quiz, it's like 10 minutes, but it gives you a great feedback on two things. Number one, your ability to lead with some feedback and some ideas to take with you, some actions to take with you. Second, and just as important, or maybe more important, is it also provides you with feedback on what you do best, what you should be doing. If you're honest with your with the questions, it'll give you an understanding of within your business where you should focus on. What's your zone of genius, right? So some people are better at sales. Some are better in certain, other areas of business. Some are better with working with clients. Some are better on just, vision and being able to delegate, whatever it might be. And this might seem rudimentary, sound very basic. And I'm sure there's some in here that, or might be well beyond this. But when you're first starting a business, or even just new to it, or even in it for many years, taking that step back, looking at it, and taking a look in the mirror is extremely important. I do it often. I work with many others who've been extremely successful, who will do that when they get a little bit stuck, taking that step back, going through these type of things. That kind of takes me to the next really, really important part of that. So the first step we usually work with is that skills. What are you best at? What should you be focused on? And it gives you a little bit of an idea how to kind of take that lid off, right? Might be cliche again, but the same kind of point is knowing your why. Now, you might sit here and say, I know, I'm an agency, I do marketing, we have a marketing agency, whatever it is. But it really is difficult to sometimes take a step back and understand truly what your why is. Now, if anybody's read the book by Simon Sinek or knows the book Simon Sinek, Start With Why, it's a great, great book. Some of it isn't necessarily always feasible to start with why. But when it comes down to being able to kind of take an agency that might not be where you want it to be at the moment and moving it to where your vision is, where you want to get it to, one of the first steps really needs to be understanding why you do it, right? Why are you? Why are you as your agency, right? Like, why is it? Is it because you want freedom? Is it because you want money? Is it because you want to help make an impact? Is it because you thought, hey, it's cool to be an agency, I don't want to work for anybody anymore, whatever it is. But what is the clear, defined way of why you created your agency? Just as important as why should anybody care? There's a million agencies out there, right? We all know that. We know this is a very saturated business. We also know there's freelancers. We know that there's Fiverr. We know that there's Upwork. All those other things where people can get these services from. What's going to differentiate? What's going to allow you to work with your client base? Why should anybody care about working with you versus those other companies? When you're working on, and we'll get to the kind of the pipeline side of this and business development side of this in a little bit, is why should anybody care about working with you versus somebody else? Is it price? Is it you'll be there? Is it your ability to deliver on your promises, whatever it might be? Understand that and always live it. Always work with it. It's not just I'm an agency and I want to be an agency because I want to make money. Yes, great result, right? But if you're not focused on why anybody should care about working with you as a business and as a business owner, it's going to be a struggle. You're going to spin your wheels. So we talked about why do what you do and what's the purpose behind your business. Many in here might know that. Others might not. And it's extremely important to go take a step back and go ahead and think about that. Then figure out what you do, right? So yes, you're an agency, you're a digital marketing agency. Beauty of what you do is having Mike in that company behind you. So you've got the services. That's the what, right? But what is it that will differentiate you? Do you have a specific genius, some industry, some area, right? Know that as well. It's just important as your why, as your what. Yes, you can do SEO, you can do PPC, you can do, whatever it might be that you're offering. But, what is it that differentiates and makes you a little bit different, right? And you can take that, and the beauty, again, of having that company behind you is take what they have achieved, what they can do. Now that's your team, and that can create your what, and that can create your how. Match those with why you're doing it, creating that impact, or whatever you might be, focused on, and make sure you're living that as you're speaking with clients, as you're going out and maybe building your pipeline, as you're doing business development. It should live that over and over. You should never forget that. Your marketing material should be based around that. I'm kind of going into that a little bit longer than I wanted to on that one, but it's extremely important, and it's one of the first steps that's really difficult to take that step back, look at that, and then be able to drive it forward. Give you an example of it, right? My cafes, the cafes that I had mentioned. When I first started, I didn't know I was going to franchise it. Didn't really have an intent to franchise it. Didn't mean to get into, multiple different towns and all that other stuff. I wanted to create an impact in the community. I wanted to give a community a place that, based on the products that we created, my family created, into a place that was just, awesome to be at, and everybody can enjoy, and in a very comforting space. Wanted to utilize that to provide for my family. When I first opened, my son was 2. My No, I'm sorry. My son was just born, and then my daughter was a couple years away. And then as I was able to build that business, I created the franchise concept around it because I wanted to be able to spend time with them and systematize and create something that they could really provide for them. The agencies, my why was always to create a positive impact for small, medium-sized businesses. Based on what I was able to achieve within my business, I was able to create freedom. I was able to keep financial freedom. I was able to create something that I love to do, and that's what went into marketing, to help other companies be able to kind of get themselves into that same place, be able to drive that revenue and business and get them into the same place. So we went through the first couple steps, taking that lid off, and the knowing your why. What I'm going to go through now is the 7 steps I used to successfully start, grow, and sell my 2 agencies, specific to those agencies. First was mindset. Like I said, it was really tough. Understanding the difference between operating a business versus owning a business and growing it, creating vision and carrying that vision versus just kind of creating a job. Setting priorities, understanding your role, your team. A little bit different in this scenario, but still important. Your KPIs. What are your KPIs? I'm sure you guys send out through that company or anything else that you have KPIs to your clients, but do you have them? Do you look at everything on a weekly basis? How do you solve issues? How do you create your vision for long term? And then how do you clarify and truly build that asset? So the first one is that mindset. So the first is to take the lid off, like I had mentioned, and then understanding your why. But just as important is ideas to action. Everybody in here is I believe, a business owner, an agency owner. So you've already have vision, right? You've gotten to the point where you've created a company. You've created a business. You have vision. It might be cloudy still, but you have vision to get to that point, right? If you're a visionary, if you've gotten to that point, that means you've got a lot of ideas. I don't know if anybody in here is like me, but my mind doesn't stop, right? It's got ideas all day long for myself, for my business, for my client's business, for whatever it might be, right? It's all day. I could write a book every single day if I just took it and put it in, right? But that doesn't usually get much done just writing down to-do lists and having lots of ideas. Biggest part of mindset, and I'll show you a little bit, we have tools for this, is turning that into action. How do we actually not only put those nails down, right? So we can put nails down, those are ideas all day long. But how do you actually hammer them too, right? It's 2 very, very different pieces. The mindset of being able to understand both, whether it's just yourself or you have somebody who helps you put those nails down and hammer them in, is important. But the ability to not just have a million nails all over the place, but actually hammer them so you can build something. And then embrace patience. And I tell this to my clients, as well, that we're working with. And it's very important, I think, for agency owners, embracing patience, right? So patience, or embracing patience, is important when it comes to mindset, because you want to be able to, number one, if you're building a business, just have it happen, right? You want to be able to have $1 million agency right away. Let's just do it. It's awesome. I'm going to, it's just going to happen because I want it. But that's not how it works, right? So embracing patience, understanding that these type of tools that we're going to talk about here are necessary, but also for clients, right? Like, there's so many times where when you're working with clients, they want, hey, I'm going to do PPC and all of a sudden I'm going to double my business. It's not how it works, right? Understanding that patience has to be on both sides, your side, right? And then also being able to kind of convey that, as well, and work through the build process that they need also. What I'm going to start with, one of the first steps is priorities, right? So I don't know, I know I talk about a few books here, but the seven Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, one of my favorite books. The 3 books that I had mentioned are really my 3 favorite books that I've utilized in business, often. One of the key lessons in that is rocks. Now, some people might know this. If you don't, I'm going to go through it relatively quick, but also I have a link here to kind of a video to it as well. So the big rocks and setting priorities. Now, I like to look at priorities in 90-day sprints, right? And we'll have a tool for that I'll go over in a second. But the way to visualize this, or way to look at this, or what I've utilized and a lot of people have successfully done, taking this method or the theory of big rocks go first, is if you have a jar, right? And you've got all the different stuff you got to do in a day, in a week, in a month. You've got your biggest priorities. You've got your urgent things that are, kind of you have to get to, and then you're saying all the BS, all the minutia that happens, right? So if you think about this on the screen, you think about that bucket there. If you put the unimportant things in first, right, the sand, it's going to take up probably 3/4 of the bucket. Little rocks you put in next, it's going to take up most of the bucket. There's no room for the big rocks. The big rocks being the priorities. Those are the visionary type things. Those are the things that help move your business. Those are the impactful things, right? That's creating, whether it's a new website, creating new marketing materials, taking the step to go out and do networking and go to a networking event and join networking business. Those type of really big things that move the needle. Little rocks are, playing around with some new, just client work or, jumping in. And again, the idea is kind of putting down, just creating to-do lists all day, those type of things that you end up 2 hours later and like, how, where did the time go? And the sand is the stuff that is really annoying. Usually stuff that takes you out of emails, checking emails. Maybe, I don't know if anybody has Slack, but a ton of Slack messages coming through all day, and all the different things that just are just take up your time, and you don't know where it went. 5 or 6 o'clock at night. So start with those big rocks, right? Take your primary priorities. Make sure that you're prioritizing those. You're spending every single day on those a little bit, and you have them clearly defined. The rocks and the sand putting on top of those, they'll still fit in. They're still going to be there. You're still going to get some of those, and you still have to get to those. But if you don't start with those rocks, just don't start with the priorities, you spin your wheels, and that's where you get stuck. Now, what do we do for that? One of the tools, like I said, is inside of the document that I have, or the folder that I'm going to share with everybody. And that's creating priorities. Like I said, like to create quarterly or 90-day sprints, right? And take a look at 3 to 5 should be your rocks per quarter, right? Identify what are those 3 to 5 things that are most important to you. And if you do have anybody within your business as well, that is, whether it's a sales rep or whether it's anybody who's an admin or whoever would be part of this. I'm not sure the size of the agencies you guys have, but if it's 1, if it's 2, if it's 10, you want to be able to kind of put a system like this so you can manage and you can identify those true 90-day rocks, right? 3 to 5. What are the big things that you really need to focus on in order to move the needle? Now, I like to start with those and create quarterly priorities before even looking at the big vision, because you already have a vision. Like I said, you're already, as an agency, you've created some level of a vision that you want to get to, and you've already started to put that into action by working with that company, having clients and that type of stuff. So look at what do you want to accomplish in the next 90 days. That will start to create a foundation for the longer term vision. We'll hit that in a minute. There's like I said, a document in there that goes through in depth how to create and how to look at the rock type of an approach, how to create 3 to 5 quarterly priorities that are going to be the most important things, that if those are done, your business will move. You will get unstuck, right? It's not going to reinvent the entire business in the first quarter, but it will start to move you to the point where those 3 to 5 things get done, your business will make significant progress to then the next quarter, expand upon that, and it continues to kind of snowball downhill. Now, the next step of it is the KPIs, key performance indicators, right? So these are all just kind of foundational things within a business. Have a snapshot, have a scorecard that I share in there as well. In an agency, there's so many people, and I did it for a long time. We're a data-driven business, right? It's a vertical that is very data-driven. They need to know your click-through rates. You need to know your CPM. You need to cost per lead. You need to know your traffic. You need to know your traffic in different sources. All that stuff you provide to clients all the time. Do you have KPIs? Right. This is kind of the mindset side of it too, is take a step back. Do you, as an organization, have your own KPIs? I would guess and bet that, a large chunk of anybody in this room, just because it's within the agency world and even the business owner world, do not have KPIs for their own business. Do you have know your sales KPIs. How many leads should you have? What's your cost per lead? What's your close rate? What's your pipeline? What your pipeline should be. Do you know your traffic, your conversions? Do you know any step within your customer journey? Do you know how your clients are doing and how, if they're, happy or not, right? All those are KPIs that need to be watched on a week-to-week basis. And there's two tools in here that I will share with you guys that provide that. The first is, this thing's in my way here. Oh, sorry guys, I got this thing here. Your growth scorecard. So this used religiously for myself and my clients. Create and understand. We're going to go through the customer journey in a little bit. Create and understand each step of that customer journey and the KPIs, the metrics that you want to. Now, these are a little bit, might be too much, a little bit advanced. Probably be 1 or 2 for you guys per each stage. But understand where and create what you want to do. In the folder, there's a process that I have to build these out specific to agencies. That is really great. Don't have time really to go through them today, but after this, one other thing that I just want to kind of jump to is I'm happy to have a call. There will be a calendar in there. If anybody wants to go through this, I love being able to just kind of help show how to implement these, what I've done, how I've utilized them, and how you can utilize them for your agency as well. Might not be perfect for everybody, but being able to put systems and tools like this in place, can just, it creates stabilization and the ability to truly scale and grow. So this is a scorecard, and then the snapshot will help you with your quarterly priorities, and then KPIs that you want to look at, the 2 or 3 per person that are most important that you want to go through every single week. Understanding those, really understanding how, what are your numbers? How are they helping you build your business, build your company, or is it takes you to a whole level? And even if you have some basic ones right now, if you're not looking at them weekly, and if you're not setting them in a place that will grow, looking at that 90-day snapshot, 90-day, 90-day, and being able to understand the growth, and if you're stuck, how to fix that, really holds you back. KPIs, some of the KPIs that, or I'm sorry, going back to that. So now taking those, your 90-day 90-day rocks or your priorities, looking at your KPIs and being able to put that in place on a weekly basis. Again, I don't care if you have 1 person, it's just yourself. If you have 2 people, if you have 10 people, if you have 20 people, right? Being able to set a time each week and having a defined agenda and a weekly, call it a roundtable meeting, whatever it might be, going through your priorities, going through your team, going through your process, going through any problems, and going through your numbers. It's extremely important. When I was a team of 1, I would still do this. When I had my cafes where we had 20 to 30 employees per location, right? So about 200, 300 employees total would do this, right? Does not matter. You still need to go through and each week be able to kind of understand, are you on track with your priorities? Are you on track with your weekly KPIs? What are your challenges and your any issues that need to resolve? We'll go through that one, right? And being able to surface those, discuss them with your team, or even if it's just yourself, being able to go through those and be able to put an action and timing in place. As I mentioned before, kind of jump around a little bit, but surfacing those solutions. So one of the tools in there is also identifying any issues and not letting those fester, right? One of the biggest things I think happens with agencies or business owners in general is you have issues, you've got problems, you've got things that need to be fixed, but you're not creating those. They just kind of, either turn into a very, 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 very long to-do list, which a lot of it falls to the cracks, or you're not really surfacing the true root of the problem and fixing it. When you start to do a kind of snags and solutions type approach, right? Understanding each week, what are the issues that we encountered this week? What are the problems? And then start to actually create a solution process. It's just going to be, piling on. Once you start to do that, you're actually going to be able to create your 90-day priorities much, stronger as well, and utilize the issues that pop up to reinforce those priorities, reinforce the key issues that you're trying to focus on. So that's in there as well. And, being able to take that process and put that into your weekly roundtable Here are the issues that I faced last week. Here's the let me root them out. Let me try to find a root cause, not just surface level, not just Band-Aid. And then what's the action? How do I actually fix these so that next week that's no longer a problem? We can fix something else if there is anything to fix. After we take those initial pieces, based around again, the foundational kind of core of building the system around putting an agency where you need to go, taking it from what's typically a stuck agency to getting it unstuck, gaining some traction with, in clarity around, what you're trying to prioritize, what your business is, how are you helping, what are your KPIs and numbers, how are you growing? Then you can really look at how do you create a clear vision for the future. A lot of times the vision is the first step. Again, if you're here, you've got an agency, you've built out, you've built to the point where you have clients and you're running a business, your vision, you already have a vision, right? It's not starting from scratch. You have a little bit of understanding of your why, a little bit of what you do, you're there. So the first steps are to start to create some priorities, creating some KPIs, creating those metrics, getting some tools in place that allow you to see those on a weekly, monthly, and quarterly basis. Once you put that in for 90 days, maybe 180 days, that's where you can really start to look at your long-term vision. And that's usually how I like to take it and put it in place. Now you can have a true, clear vision of where you want to go. How do you take your business from an operator to an owner? How do you take it from creating a job to creating an asset, right? How do you truly get your business to the point where you can sharpen the knife and turn something into maybe having an opportunity to sell it, have an opportunity to get it acquired, or continue to just grow it so that you operate in freedom, true freedom, right? Operating in freedom is not, hey, I have an agency, but I work 15 hours a day, but at least I don't work for anybody, right? That's not an agency. That's not the business I think most want to put in place. These are the tools, these are the systems. I know I kind of jumped through them a little bit, but these are the tools and the systems that I used and have put in place to build the two agencies. And then there was the foundation for actually the franchise of my first business as well. These are, once you get to that point where you can start to look at, get a clear vision for the long term and continue to use your rocks, your weekly roundtables, your KPIs, and the ability to manage, whether, again, if it's one person or 10 people. It allows you to put and get your agency from a place where you might be floundering a bit. And again, it might not be everybody in here, but I've been in this agency, in this business long enough. If anybody's familiar with digitalmarketer.com, I was a certified partner agency, and then I actually spoke on their stage multiple times based around this type of things, because there's so many agencies out there, including myself, both times I opened, where you're scratching and clawing to try to figure out. And without putting in a true system, without taking a step back and kind of understanding, what you're doing, why you're doing it, how you're going to do it, and then, making that actionable, it can be really tough. Now, I'm going to go through really quick, taking those next steps, right? So again, this was kind of part of transforming from an operator to an owner, building that asset. There's a lot of tools in there that you can use. What I want to hit real quick now is, I'm going to skip some of this because we're running a little bit of time. So these are really just kind of auditing your sales pipeline and your sales, where you're at from a sales standpoint. But I'm going to jump to the customer journey, the most important part of that. And we can jump back to that as well, because I'm going to make sure we leave some time for some Q&A if anyone wants to as well. But what I wanted to start with here is, when it comes to building the pipeline, when it comes to truly taking that business, and I started with the operational side of it first, because to me that's most important. If you just jump right into building out a pipeline without any sort of systematic approach to the rest of your agency, and the beauty, of course, is having that company being able to operate your deliverable side of it, and a lot of times your sales side of it. It's really tough to just create a pipeline without having where you're going, what you're doing, what your KPIs are, and any system to that growth over time. Otherwise you're just going to be kind of going back and forth and just trying to throw agencies or throw clients in there. Building a pipeline is really tough. Being able to get your first few clients, not that it's easy by any means, but typically most agency owners, when they become an agency, they do so because they had either a couple clients, had some ability to go back to some people, they have some referral partners, that type of stuff, and you get your first few. Creating a pipeline and truly understanding how to create a customer journey that is going to work long term is one of the more difficult things that anybody who's owns and has built an agency goes through. There's a lot of peaks and valleys, and that's where it becomes really tough, right? Especially when it comes to cash flow, and it becomes when it comes to operating in a way that you want to be able to operate. So what we build out, and one of the tools I have in here, and if anybody's utilized this is from Digital Marketer. Like I said, I was an agency partner with them. Utilize this for myself and for my clients for many, many years. This tool is in there as well. Taking this step and understanding it, not only for you, but for your clients as well. It's really, really important. But for yourself in particular, and that's what we're going to focus on right now, is for your own agency, right? It doesn't matter what type of business you are. It can be an agency, or it can be B2B, it can be a restaurant, it can be anything. There's a systematic approach to the customer journey, regardless of what type of company you are. You have to create awareness, right? You have to create awareness. You have to create engagement, build your own, call it subscription, build your own first party data, right? Have, whether it's, 100 people or it's 10,000 people in your database that you can go to, you can communicate, whether it's through email, social, or even audiences within your ad platforms. Then it's conversion. Conversion can have multiple steps to it. It can be a micro conversion, get foot in the door, and then, or a larger conversion. And excitement. And beauty again here is having that company behind you. Having a company like that helps you with the excitement stage. The excitement stage is when people first start, right? And they want to get those impact. They want to get some, see some positives. That allows you to ascend, right? So let's say somebody started with PPC. That's your client's just doing PPC. That's going really, really well. The ability to ascend that to SEO, to social media, to maybe, whatever it might be, and turn a $1,000 a month or $1,200 a month client into a $3,000, $3,500, $4,000 a month client. That's where you can truly scale and build your business. But if you just stop at convert, don't know how to excite or work with that company to excite or kind of understand where the clients are in that stage, and don't ascend, you're just going to be picking up, $1,000, $1,200, $1,500 month clients. Where the agency world changes is when you have those clients and you can turn them to $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month clients through a true process where you have that in your customer journey. Most people think about creating awareness, creating engagement, and converting. Creating ascension, and then creating advocates, right? Getting that referrals, getting reviews, getting case studies, getting testimonials, all of that needs to be built in. Now, the beauty of what you guys have here with having a white label company behind you like that is your focus does not need to be all day on creating ads, creating emails, creating content for your clients, creating, managing the different campaigns, all that other stuff. Your focus can be on continuing to build out, perfect that customer journey, continuing to create awareness around your brand, continuing to create engagement, continuing to build your own first party data, helping convert whatever your sales process might be, and then identifying how can I ascend and how can I create advocates and how can I create promoters? How can I create a true brand? In here, I have a kind of a customer value journey that I will share with you guys that you guys can use. But one of the biggest things when it comes to agency is creating, especially when you have a white label company behind you like this, just create content all day. Create content that is relevant to your client, to potential clients. Create content that will help them understand their struggles. That's really what is, when we look at the rocks and the ability to grow an agency, especially an agency that has a white label team behind it like this, is just creating great material that will allow you to create authority, build your brand, and have something that people will start to look at and draw to, right? Your focus is not on those deliverable sides. It's creating awareness, creating engagement. What are the calls to action? What are the things that will resonate with them to download, to click on an ad, to watch your video, read your blogs, click your emails, whatever it might be? And how do you build your first party data? Once you go from 100 people to 500 people to 1,000 people to 5,000 people in your database, your pipeline becomes incredibly strong. It becomes incredibly powerful. You now have the ability to go out to people anytime you want and give them your content. Give them what you want them to see that's going to resonate with them. You can segment it out, whatever it might be. Conversion stage, of course, you have, I think some are probably using the sales team, some might be with the sales team, but that conversion stage, being able to get them into a paid customer, paid client, have a continued pipeline where there's always sales calls happening. There's always people coming into it, always booking calls, right? Not just, all right, I'm down a little bit, I need to, jump into sales mode. Excite, again, making sure that things are going well with them, that they're getting the results that they want, and then how do we ascend them, right? How do I take somebody who's getting SEO and add PPC? How do I get somebody that's getting SEO and PPC and add social media? How do I add email? How do I add maybe a website? Whatever it might be. Continuing to grow. It's much easier, much more profitable to take somebody who's already your client and turn them into, sending them into a higher paying client than having to continue to build and bring in new ones. You want to do both, of course. Get advocates and get promoters, right? Again, you have the ability, you don't have to worry all day about a lot of those pebbles and the sand. That company is doing that. Take that time to identify who are your top clients. Are they happy? Let me have an interview with them. Let me talk to them. Maybe get them on a webinar, get them on a podcast, get their review, written review, or most ideally video reviews. I know it sounds rudimentary. I know it sounds basic. But I can tell you right now, I was really, really bad at it until late in stages of my agencies of being able to get those testimonials. At the end of the time when I really took some time and I put it and I made it a rock, my website had probably about 75 case studies, probably about 50 testimonials, because I took the time and it was game changing. Once I put that on there and I could have a sales call and say, somebody asked, well, do you have good results? Here's 75 case studies. Here's 50 testimonials from recent clients. Here's our full portfolio of our websites we've built, right? Once you have that, you've got authority, you've got real life, you've got social proof, you've got the ability to now turn yourself not only from a freelancer, essentially, that's running a small agency, you've got a brand, an agency brand that you're now building. I kind of jumped through some of these a little bit. These are all steps of kind of the journey, how to build out some of those pieces of the journey. This piece took a little bit longer, and I kind of went through and talked a bit more about certain things than I had anticipated. But what I wanted to do right now, and I know it's a little bit late, but Mike, if it's good with you, I just take some questions, open it up, see if anybody's got anything that they would like to ask, or anything in regards to. I didn't check any chat, so I don't know. I couldn't see the chat, so if there was.
No, you're good to go. I was just adding stuff as you were talking, so that was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, so EOS you're absolutely right. EOS, I have utilized significantly. I was actually an implementer of EOS for a period of time in between when I sold my first agency and my second agency. I actually helped implemented EOS with 4 other businesses as part of the coaching that I did as well. And I took pieces of it, as you can see clearly, into all areas of my business and anything that I've done. It's such a powerful tool. Such a powerful tool.
Absolutely. Dominique, you got your hand up. Go for it. You're muted.
Oh, yep. Hi, everybody. My question for you, Mara, hi, nice to meet you. Thank you very much for today.
Yes, absolutely. Nice to meet you.
My question for you is regarding when you exited your agencies. What were the main aspects that the acquisition company or who you were selling the business to, what were the main things where they focused on the most? Like, what was it that they focused on the most, or and or might be the same answer, but what got them also the most excited about buying your particular company?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And broad answer is basically what I just went over. Having that, right? Having a system, a very defined system, not only for marketing or my own marketing, but a defined system for my team, for pipeline, for understanding KPIs, and the ability to actually, to grow. The biggest thing that was important for the companies to acquire was, number one, of course, is profitability, sustained profitability, right? So it wasn't just, hey, last 6 months I had a really great 6 months, and we're going to base it off of that. It was sustained profitability, showing that continued growth, showing a pipeline. One of the biggest assets that I had was a database, right? So we talked about the third step of the customer journey, which is subscribe. Most people don't even think about that. That is a gigantic asset. If you only have 500 people, let's say, in your database, or worse, even like 100 people that you've been able to capture over the years that you can market to directly, you have no asset. If you've got 5,000, right, that's gold, right? So now they know that you've been able to build a pipeline. You've been able to get people to come in that have shown interest. Might not all be clients, but now they've got a built-in potential database to go after. The KPIs were crucial, being able to truly not say, hey, we've got 30 monthly recurring clients and we're doing X amount per month, but that we've been able to show the profitability around those clients, that the continued growth in those clients, that they're clients that have shown progress, and then the tools around building out a true system. One of the things that you don't want to have, and I know this is a little bit different when you're working with a white label company, so I don't know if everybody thinks about it this way, is they don't want to buy you, right? They want to buy they want to go buy a system. That's the same thing with franchising, right? When I franchised my cafes, they were buying a system, right? They weren't buying an owner. They weren't buying me to go in and run their cafe. They were buying a system that they could put in place and operate with a team. When you're building your companies right now, you can't sell yourself, right? You have to sell a business that somebody else can go into and it can continue going. If you took yourself out of the business, would the business fall apart? Nobody's going to buy that, right? If you took yourself out of the business, but it can continue to run, there's a continued pipeline, there's a database, there's systems, there's tools, there's operations. They'll buy that. That's where you create a true asset that you can then basically make your own price.
Understood. Thank you so much for that.
Excellent stuff. Anybody else got a question? We got about 3 minutes left.
Not really a question, but thank you for the information.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to put it in the chat before finish. I'm going to put that folder in there too. I want to make sure you don't forget that. So, like I said, in here is a link. And all the tools that I mentioned. These are the tools that I used to build my agencies, but also in part, my other businesses, and I've also put in place with many companies that I've worked with, either in fractional CMO or coaching capacity. And there's a little bit more explanation around these as well. I know there's a lot of information to take in. I kind of, was kind of drinking from a fire hose today a little bit. I was throwing a lot at you. But if anybody does want to, I'm happy to spend some time inside of the presentation here, which there's in there, is my Calendly. Feel free. There's, no problem, spending time going through. I love working with other agencies. I love being able to spend some time with those who are going through what I've gone through. Like I said before, I know how difficult it is. I don't know your agencies in particular. Some might be established, for a long period, and some might just be starting. But anything anywhere that I could help or provide a little bit of insight, some tools, or the ability to implement those tools or get you through some snags you might be hitting, more than happy to. I love seeing, agency owners be able to really take that next step and get to that next level.
So, couple of things here, guys. And Ian, actually, that link that you shared with us, you're going to get a ton of requests for access because it was one of those type of links instead of the anybody can access link. So I don't know if you want to give us a different one or if you just approve all those requests. Either way,
I didn't want it to be completely open, so I'll just approve them as requested.
Sweet, perfect. So then, Ian will get you access to that. But yeah, just to reiterate that for everybody. I think there's, and Ian, if you want to add to this, I just want to make sure I add this. Ian operates in a couple of different capacities. One is if you're looking for a coach for your agency that can be more integrated and focused, not just like we provide sales support and obviously the services and all that good stuff, but beyond that, if you're looking for a coach, I would definitely be talking to Ian. The second thing is I know that some of our partners have said before, hey, I love all the different services that I can white label, SEO, PPC, social, but I wish I kind of had like a fractional CMO type offering as well for a client that kind of needs that overarching help. He operates as a fractional CMO. So if you're looking for that kind of contact to be able to work with and work with your clients on, then Ian is your guy. So just want to throw that out there. Ian, thank you so much. This is the foundational work. Honestly, the people that do this and do it right, they set themselves up for success. So I really appreciate you taking the time to share it with us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I appreciate everybody being in here. Again, like I said, with Mike and that company and what they do, you guys are in great hands there as well. And it's so hard to find. Unfortunately, like I said, I kind of missed some meetings with Mike when I had my agencies, and I kick myself now, for doing so, because there's only a couple out there, right? And trust me, I tried a ton and looked at a ton over the years. There's only a couple out there, and what I don't think anybody realizes how difficult it is to put together the infrastructure that Mike and Ken have and have been able to put together with that company. It is so difficult. I did a little white label work when I gave it up. It was like, it's really tough for them to be able to do what they do, get the results that they do, and be able to help companies like everybody here be able to focus on building a pipeline and focus on truly building an agency from a visionary type standpoint versus getting stuck in that minutia that happens when you're looking at all campaigns and all that other stuff. It's incredible what they've put together, and just take advantage of it. Take advantage of it to be able to look at, all right, how can I really just go out there and just grow my brand, grow my business, create an asset, and let them, do the work. It's not common. It's not easy. A lot of people get stuck in I'm going to get a freelancer here. I'm going to get a freelancer here. I'm going to get a freelancer here. I'm going to get this guy from who knows what country here and do this. And then your whole day is just trying to manage people from all over the world. And that's not a way to to build a company. And that was a little bit different, but it's really important to kind of understand how powerful, how important what they do, and the ability to take your agency to the next step by utilizing all that they have as well. That's a major part of that.
Ian, thank you so much for saying that. I really appreciate it. Dominique did ask a question in the chat. White label fractional CMO, will you operate in that way?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So there you go. All right, y'all. Thank you again, Ian. Go ahead, Marty.
Yeah, I want to say, Ian, thank you so much. A lot of the guest speakers we have had on here don't really understand our model. Don't understand, I guess we're a white label agency, but we do a lot of the work on the back end stuff. And you were talking to that. Well, some of the guest speakers we had on here just didn't quite understand how we're different as a white label company. And so they're talking out of things that a lot of our partners weren't maybe understanding or didn't have control over, because we control a lot of that too. So thank you for knowing a little bit more about us. Of course, you work with us too. But I appreciate that you took the time to actually cater it to our partners to give them the most help possible. So thank you, man.
No, absolutely. It's really important. And you can get stuck if you don't utilize something like you guys, can provide, you can get stuck really quick. And so I just, emphasize the importance of what they can do to help you truly grow your agency. Because again, I've been there. I got stuck when I tried all those, different methods. So yeah, no, absolutely.
Excellent. Guys, if you want an introduction to Ian via email or anything like that, obviously there were some things shared. Go access those docs in the chat. Otherwise, if you ever need an introduction or anything, just let me know. I'm happy to do that. Okay. Everybody have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next Thursday. Ian, thank you again.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Yep.
Bye.